This is audible. Yeah, I think this is fine now. All right, just give me a second. I hope everything is fine. I hope I'm audible and the screen is visible and the voice is clear. So just give me a go ahead. If everything is fine, we can start with today's session. It's a slightly different setup today. So I hope the disturbance is not much. The background disturbance is not much. And the voice is clear. Those are the two requirements that I have. If everything is good, then I think we can start. Okay, I think the voice is slightly off. Just give me a second. Yeah, I hope this is better now. If this is fine, then I think we are good to go. I think we can start. Yeah, I'm just testing this one. If this voice is fine, then I think we should. Fine. All right. I think we are good to go now. I think the voice is much better now. So yeah, better now. Cool. All right. So we'll start with today's session. Before we start, there are a couple of things that are there. One, of course, we did a live SIMCAT solving last week, so the video has been received very well. So in case you haven't seen it, do have a look at it. It should be one of the most recent videos on the channel. So have a look at it. It has more than what 3,500 views and hundreds of hours of consumption. So have a look at it to get to know how exactly do toppers basically go out solving tests. I've also done a live CL mock solving. I've also done a live AIMCAT solving. So you'll also get to know what all are the differences in terms of the interface, levels of difficulty, analytics, and so on and so forth when it comes to these three tests. Okay, so that is basically what we have. Also, if you look at what we are going to do, we are going to have another live mock solving sometime next week. So that is one thing that will be there. In addition to that, our cat mastery program is on, and we are done with more than half of the entire journey that we intended to do at the start. And if you look at it, the fee for the program has been reduced significantly. Now the entire program is available for 8,000 rupees. So if you haven't checked it out, do check it out. And in case you want to enroll it, explore it, you can get in touch with us, or you can enroll directly using the link that we have in the description box. Right. So we'll start with today's session. There are two sets that we have today, and both the sets are like fairly manageable sets, so to say, not very difficult sets. One can be classified as slightly tiresome, but both of them are in fact tiring, but in different ways. So if you look at the first set that we have, right, the first set is based on a graph, and we have a legend that is there. So there are subcategories that are mentioned along the y-axis, and the x-axis, the horizontal axis, is sales in terms of million rupees. Now, these kind of sets are generally slightly irritating because you don't really have nice boxes that are there, right? So, let's say we are looking at this dash. Now, we don't know whether this dash is 6.1, 6.2, 6.15. Exactly kya scene hai, we don't know. So in these kind of situations, what I would generally recommend is one, these sets are going to be extremely easy. Why are they going to be extremely easy? They are going to be easy because everything has been given to you. So maybe इसके अंदर you might have to find the ranks that are there. So एक set था जहाँ पे we had seen some types of crimes that were there. I don't know if it was here or in the mastery program, but there were certain crimes that had been conducted across. I think it was one of the past CAT papers. So certain three types of crimes were conducted in the top 10 states in India and so on and so forth. तो वो वाला question जो था वहां पे we had to figure out what is the rank of every state in every category of crime. तो वो वाला एक set था. So वहां पे you might have to rank something. There might be a set जहाँ पे you have to find out the percentage change or in terms of relative strength what exactly is or how much is one category higher or lower compared to the other category. वैसे वाली चीजें हो सकती हैं यहाँ पे because we have 2019 versus 2020 if you read the questions. Then you will know that this is comparison between 19 and 21 and in terms of categories तीन categories दिए हैं तो उनका comparison. Now, what I would look at when it comes to this kind of a set is one, definitely this is going to be an easy set. But if you were given good numbers, it would have made your life much easier. अब इसको और इजी कैसे कर सकते थे? इसके ऊपर अगर अच्छे से लिखा होता ना, दिस इज 6.1 लिखा होता, यहाँ पे एग्जैक्टली 7 है लिखा होता, यहाँ पे 2.2 लिखा होता, देन आई वुड हैव बीन मच मोर हैप्पी राइट विद दिस सेट कि सब नंबर्स दिए हुए हैं, आई जस्ट हैव टू प्लग इन द वैल्यूज एंड सॉल्व इट. बट अगर ये नंबर्स नहीं दिए हैं देन माई लाइफ बिकम स्लाइटली मोर डिफिकल्ट. तो दैट इज बेसिकली वन प्लेस जहां पे आई विल बी स्लाइटली स्केप्टिकल व्हेन कम्स टू दिस काइंड ऑफ सेट्स. बट ये सेट डेफिनेटली करना है, एवरीथिंग इज गिवन टू यू, इससे ज्यादा डेटा मिल नहीं सकता. Now also if you look at the questions that we have here, you also have to look at the options very carefully. So यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन के ऑप्शंस अगर देखेंगे ना 12.5, 13.5, 16.5, 18. Now I know that there is going to be some calculation involved. Might be an easy calculation, but some calculation is going to be involved. अब वो कितना extent है, how much easy or difficult is it to do this is a different story altogether, but there is some calculation that is going to be involved. सेकेंड वाले में देखेंगे ऑप्शंस देख लो 1%, 8%, 20%, 25%. दे आर फार अपार्ट राइट. सो ऑल्दो एक बॉल पार्क मुझे नहीं भी पता, इवन इफ आई टेक दो इसके बीच का नंबर इज 6.2, 6.3, 2.2, 2.3, ये लेवल का एक्यूरेसी भी अगर होगा नंबर्स के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, इवन देन आई थिंक यू शुड बी एबल टू गेट द आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन करेक्टली बिकॉज 1, 8, 20, 25 आर पोल्स अपार्ट. ठीक है, सो दैट इज व्हाट विल एनकरेज मी. How many subcategories had sales of 4 million or more? तो यहाँ पे again you have to count. So इसका answer is definitely going to be an integer. So may not involve a lot of calculation because 25% दिया हुआ है. 25% is a nice big number. They have not said 3%, 5%. वो बहुत painful होता. 25% is still manageable. And last question अगर देखेंगे in this set, we have to rank some categories in increasing order of some improvement index. So again we'll have to calculate a bit. तो यहाँ पे कैलकुलेशन काफी होने वाला है. द गुड थिंग इज वी हैव ऑल द डेटा दैट वी नीड. सो लेट्स गेट गोइंग विद द फर्स्ट सेट एंड लेट्स ट्राई टू सी व्हाट एग्जैक्टली हैज बीन गिवन हियर एंड हाउ एग्जैक्टली टू सॉल्व दिस. Now the horizontal bars in the above diagram, so this diagram that is there represent 2020 aggregate sales. So horizontal bars, तो ये जो बार दिए ना पूरे के पूरे, this one, this bars represent 2020 aggregate sales in million rupees. ये दिया हुआ है of a company for different subcategories of its products. The top 4 subcategories, ऊपर के चार जो हैं, बुक केसेस, चेयर्स, फर्निशिंग्स एंड टेबल्स, ये चार जो हैं दे बिलोंग टू द फर्नीचर कैटेगरी. सो ये चार मिला के बनेगा फर्नीचर. दी बॉटम 4 सब कैटेगरीज एक्सेसरीज, कॉपियर्स, मशीन्स एंड फोन्स, ये चार जो होंगे दोस विल बी द टेक्नोलॉजी प्रोडक्ट कैटेगरी. While the all the other product subcategories belong to the office supply product category. So binders से लेके supplies तक will be office supplies category. Fine. For each of the product subcategories, there is a vertical line indicating the sales of the corresponding subcategory in 2019. So अब यहाँ पे ये जो छोटा सा vertical line दिख रहा है, that is basically 2019 में कितना सेल हुआ था. ये जो vertical line है, again it talks about 2019 में कितना सेल हुआ था. Right? So I'll just write it here. Similarly, ये वाला जो line है that will talk about 2019, ये वाला line will talk about 2019, ये वाला line will talk about 2019 and so on. So all these will be talking about 2019 cases. Now we don't have anything else. One thing we can do is we can write down everything, but then that is not the point of the question. As we saw, we had to calculate percentages, we had to calculate the number of subcategories that fulfilled a certain set of requirements and so on. So we can directly look at the questions and then try to see what happens. Now the total sales in 2019 from products in office supplies category is closest to. So office supplies was the middle one that we had. Binders, art, appliances, envelopes, ये सारी चीजें हैं. And we have been asked to find the total sales in 2019. So 2019 में कितना sales था यहाँ पे. So let's start with binders directly. Binders यहाँ पे है. We know that 3.5 plus something. So इसको 3.6 ले लेते हैं. If you look at art, art is slightly less than 0.5. So let's make it 0.4. In terms of appliances, it is slightly less than 2. So इसको 1.9 ले लेते हैं. Envelopes is slightly less than 0.5. So again, let's make it 0.4. फास्टनर्स इज वेरी लेस, 0.1 ले लेते हैं, स्लाइटली मोर देन जीरो. लेबल्स इज मोर देन दिस वन एंड लेस देन दिस वन, तो 0.3 लेते हैं लेबल्स को. पेपर, आई थिंक इज द लाइन इज हियर, इफ आई कैन maybe look at it properly, as in it looks thicker than the rest, so this will be the line. I think 1.5 होना चाहिए. Then in terms of storage, we have something that is slightly less than 4.5. So let's take 4.4. In terms of supplies, it's slightly more than 1, but 1.1 भी शायद नहीं होगा, but ले लेते हैं 1.1 चलो. So this is basically where office supplies end. Now we can just add everything and try to see which is the closest option that we have. So 3.6 plus 0.4. So we can just add it as 2-digit numbers. So 36 plus 4 is 40. 40 plus 19 is 59. 59 plus 4 is 63. Plus 164 plus 367 plus 15 is 82 plus 44 is 126 plus 11 is 137. So 137 or 13.7 will be the total here. If you look at the options, option D is 13.5. So mostly that should be our answer. So 12.5 से पक्का ज्यादा है. We have not used smaller values anywhere. We have either erred because on the higher side, that is basically what it is. So 12.5 से पक्का ज्यादा होगा, 13.5 से भी ज्यादा होना चाहिए, more or less. So comfortably we are ahead of the options that are there, and 16.5 is too far ahead. So that is not what we have missed. So 13.5 should be the answer to the first question. Second question देखते हैं. The percentage increase in sales in furniture category from 2019 to 2020. So furniture category में percentage increase in sales from 19 to 20, and we are talking about the top 4 numbers that we have. So if you look at the options, as we had seen earlier, the options are 1, 18, 20 and 25, I believe. तो ये options है हमारे पास. And because these options are significantly larger, I think we need not worry about getting the exact answer. So let's try to see what will be the individual percentage changes. So अब सब जगह पे अगर percentage change is 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, we know that average percentage change should be 10%. अगर एक कैटेगरी 10% से बड़ा है, दूसरा कैटेगरी 5% से बड़ा है, राइट, देन द इफेक्टिव चेंज, सो लेट्स से वन कैटेगरी वाज 100 एंड अनदर कैटेगरी वाज 200. अब लेट्स से ये बड़ा है 10% से, ये बड़ा है 20%, right? Now what will happen in this case? This would have become 110, this would have become 240, दोनों मिला के you will get 350, right? So percentage change कितना हो गया? 300 से 350 हो गया. Initially it was 300, now it has become 350. That is what we are trying to say. So 1/6 से बड़ा है तो 16% से बड़ा है. So you will see that if one thing increases by 110%, sorry, and another thing increases by 20%, the effective change is going to be between 10 and 20%. ठीक है. सो इन जनरल अगर देखा जाए, सो इफ वी हैव लाइक एक्सट्रीम्स, वी विल नो दैट वो एवरेज आउट हो जाएगा ओवर दी 4 सब कैटेगरीज दैट वी हैव हियर. सो अब यहाँ पे लेट्स ट्राई टू सी द इंडिविजुअल परसेंटेज चेंजेस एंड वहां से एक बॉल पार्क ले सकते हैं. यू कैन ऑल्सो कैलकुलेट इट इंडिविजुअली एंड फिगर इट आउट. सो एक बार इंडिविजुअल वाला लेके देखते हैं. 2019 के अंदर इफ यू लुक एट बुक केसेस, इट वाज स्लाइटली लेस देन 2, तो 1.9 ले लेते हैं. यहाँ पे इट इज स्लाइटली मोर देन 6, तो 6.1 ले लेते हैं. यहाँ पे इट इज स्लाइटली मोर देन 2, एकदम ही कम है, तो 2 ले लेते हैं. And I'll write the other ones to the right. And यहाँ पे 2019 में tables देख लेते हैं, तो it is barely less than 4.5, तो 4.4 ले लेते हैं. अब यहाँ पे if you look at this one, this is more than 2, so 2.2 ले लेंगे, half से कम दिख रहा है. This one is 7, so that makes our life much easier. This one is again barely more than 2, तो 2.1 ले लेते हैं. And this is 4.5. ठीक है. So 4.5 became 4.4 became 4.5 rather. So now if you look at 2019 में what was the total? 1.9 plus 6.1, that is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.4 था. So 14.4 was in 2019 and 2020 में देखेंगे तो 2.2 plus 7, that is 9.2, 9.2 plus 2.1, 9.3, 10.3, 11.3 plus 4.5, 11.8 plus 4, that is 15.8. So 14.4 became 15.8. अब ये 14.4 became 15.8, मतलब 1.4 का ग्रोथ है. 1.4 का ग्रोथ on a base of 14.4 will mean something slightly less than 10%. So slightly less than 10% is what I have to look at. Our options were 1%, 8%, 20% and 25%. So definitely अपना answer should be closest to 8%, right? That is one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is for you to understand by how much are these gaps increasing. तो अब यहाँ पे देखेंगे ना, अपना 1.9 वाला था, मोर और लेस यू कैन से 2 पे था, 2 से थोड़ा सा बड़ा है. ठीक है. अब 2 से थोड़ा सा भी बड़ा है, इसका मतलब 2.2 तक भी अगर गया है, तो आई कैन से दैट दिस इज 10% का ग्रोथ. In this case, if you look at it, 6 से 7.5 गया in a way, right? So 25% growth is what I can see. यहाँ पे ये तो ऑलमोस्ट सेम है, तो 0% ही पकड़ के चल लो फॉर ऑल प्रैक्टिकल पर्पसेस. यहाँ पे भी ऑलमोस्ट सेम है, तो 0% ही पकड़ के चल लो. So now if you look at it, 10% plus 25%, 35%, and this is not the way in which you do things, but I'm just telling you, because the bases are 2, 3, 4 है, ऐसा नहीं है कि एक का बेस 2 है, एक का बेस 100 है, right? Then it would have been a problem. बट यहाँ पे 10% से एक चीज ग्रो कर रहा है, 25% से दूसरा चीज ग्रो कर रहा है, एंड बाकी दोनों आर नॉट ग्रोइंग बाय मच. सो आई कैन इफेक्टिवली से दैट सब मिला के 35% से ग्रो कर रहे हैं. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू एन एग्जांपल. 35% से ग्रो कर रहे हैं. अब 35 नीड्स टू बी डिवाइडेड प्रॉपर्ली इनटू 4 पार्ट्स, तो 8% के आसपास आएगा, 8 to 9% के आसपास आएगा. अगेन नॉट अ साइंटिफिक वे ऑफ डूइंग दिस. डोंट डू दिस इफ द वैल्यूज आर टू फार अपार्ट. यहाँ पे आई कैन स्टिल maybe hope to do this because the values are somewhat close. Not recommended, but यहाँ पे भी अपने को 8% मिल जाएगा. So if you are in a hurry, if you are in a hurry and एकदम last के 30 seconds बाकी हैं, and if you look at this question, right, you might want to do it in this manner, right? You might want to do it very quickly and maybe have a shot at those 3 easy marks that you can get. So ये करके भी अपने को 8% मिल सकता है. Now let's look at the third one. How many subcategories had sales of more than 4 million in 4 million or more rupees in 2019 and registered an increase in sales in excess of 25% in 2020? तो 2019 में 4 million से ज्यादा होना चाहिए. So this is basically the number that we are looking at. 2019 वाला dash should be greater than this and 2020 में उसके ऊपर 25% और ग्रो होना चाहिए. ठीक है. In other words, if this is at 4, 2020 का नंबर शुड बी एट लीस्ट 5. ये ध्यान में रख लेना. ठीक है. अगर ये 4 पे है तो वो 5 से ऊपर होना चाहिए. इन अदर वर्ड्स 2020 का नंबर शुड डेफिनेटली बी ग्रेटर देन 5. अगर 2019 का नंबर इज ग्रेटर देन 4, 2020 का नंबर शुड बी ग्रेटर देन 25% और शुड डेफिनेटली बी ग्रेटर देन 5. So we will eliminate all those lines जहां पे 2019 is not greater than 4 और 2020 is not greater than 5. तो अब यहाँ पे ये तो डेफिनेटली आउट है फर्स्ट कैटेगरी. चेयर्स का कैटेगरी आई कैन स्टिल कंसिडर दिस. अभी यहाँ पे हमने अप्रोक्सीमेटली 25 लिखा था, तो लेट्स सी इफ दिस होल्ड्स और नॉट. ठीक है, तो इसको हम लोग अभी के लिए कंसिडर कर सकते हैं. क्वेश्चन मार्क लिख देते हैं. यहाँ पे 2019 इज ग्रेटर देन 4. यस. 2020 इज बेयरली 5. तो अगर ये 4 पे होता तो ये 5 पे होना चाहिए था. सो दिस विल डेफिनेटली नॉट वर्क. दिस विल नॉट वर्क, राइट? ये वाले के अंदर 2019 4 से नीचे है, सो विल नॉट वर्क. डेफिनेटली विल नॉट वर्क. डेफिनेटली विल नॉट वर्क. विल नॉट वर्क. विल नॉट वर्क. विल नॉट वर्क. ठीक है. सो यहाँ पे 4 के आगे जा ही नहीं रहे. यहाँ पे दिस इज गोइंग बियॉन्ड 4 बट दिस इज गोइंग स्लाइटली बियॉन्ड 5. तो अगर ये 4 पे होता ना तो इसको 5 पे होना चाहिए था, राइट? बट ये 4 से इतना आगे आ गया है, बट ये 5 से बेयरली आगे चला गया है. सो दिस विल नॉट वर्क, राइट? इट शुड हैव गॉन बाय दिस मच डिस्टेंस प्लस 25%. सो हम लोग इसको भी एलिमिनेट कर सकते हैं. ये भी नहीं होगा. दिस विल ऑल्सो नॉट वर्क. दिस विल ऑल्सो नॉट वर्क एंड दिस विल ऑल्सो नॉट वर्क बिकॉज 2020 4 के आगे जा ही नहीं रहा. डी ग्रोथ, राइट? लास्ट वाला ऑप्शन इफ यू लुक एट इट, यहाँ पे दिस इज बेसिकली वेयर 2019 इज, दिस इज बेसिकली वेयर 2020 इज. सो मेरे पास अभी 2 ही ऑप्शंस बचे. वन इज चेयर्स एंड द अदर इज इन टर्म्स ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी. आई थिंक ऑल कैटेगरीज पूछा था ना. या सो ऑल कैटेगरीज के लिए पूछा था. सो लेट्स लुक एट चेयर्स फर्स्ट एंड देन लेट्स लुक एट फोन्स. सो चेयर्स में इफ यू लुक एट इट, दिस नंबर दैट वी हैव इज ग्रेटर देन 6. ठीक है. अभी ये अगर 6 होता, इफ दिस वुड हैव बीन 6, देन this should have been 25%. मतलब कितना हो गया, right? 25% मतलब कितना हो गया? If the previous one was 6, 1/4 of that should have been 1.5. मतलब 7.5 से आगे जाना चाहिए था, right? This should not have been 25%. erroneous था, but ठीक. ये 7.5 या उसके ऊपर जाना चाहिए था, बट ये तो 7 पे ही अटक गया. सो दिस इज डेफिनेटली नॉट 25%. 6 पे ही उसको 7.5 पे होना चाहिए था, बट ये 6 से थोड़ा आगे चला गया. So the 2020 number should have been greater than 7.5, but it is not even 7.5. So this cannot be considered. अब ये बचा लास्ट वाला, एक ही पार्ट बचा, फोन्स. फोन्स के अंदर दिस यू कैन सी इज नथिंग बट, अगेन यू कैन लुक एट बॉल पार्क्स. अगर ये 6 पे होता ना तो इसको 7.5 पे होना चाहिए था. 25% इंक्रीज है तो, बट ये 6 से थोड़ा कम है. So 2020 का नंबर should have also been slightly less than 7.5, but 2020 का नंबर is greater than 7.5. So I can say with absolute certainty that phones are definitely the category जहां पे the sale in 2019 was more than 4 million rupees and the sale in 2020 would have grown by more than 25%. ठीक है. सो बाय ऑब्जर्वेशन यू कैन फिगर आउट इसको एग्जैक्टली 5.7 है कि 8 है, उसका 25% कितना है. यू डी नॉट गो इनटू ऑल दोस थिंग्स, जस्ट थिंक अबाउट इट. If it would have been 6, I should have been at 7.5. 6 का 7.5 होता है 25%. I'm very happy. Now my 2020 का number is definitely greater than 7.5. But my 2019 का number is less than 6. So I'm winning on both counts. And that's why I will definitely be able to say that phones subcategory ka conditions would have been met greater than 4 million in 2019, and the growth should have been more than 25% in 2020. So only one subcategory, which is that of phones. तो ये अपने को मिल जाएगा. ठीक है. Harsh, I'll answer that. In fact, I had started replying to your question on the comments, but somehow I got busy with something else, so I could not reply. But yeah, I'll reply it here, and I'll also put it as a reply to your comment. Okay, sorry about that. So I'll just check the last one now. The improvement index for a category is the maximum percentage increase in sales from 2019 to 2020 among any of its subcategories. तो कैटेगरी के अंदर का इंप्रूवमेंट इंडेक्स इज द मैक्सिमम परसेंटेज इंक्रीज. So although there are four subcategories, a lot of subcategories in the middle one, office supplies के अंदर भी बहुत सारी subcategories हैं. उसके अंदर से I have to figure out which one showed the maximum percentage increase. ठीक है. एंड वो अगर अपने को पता चलता है तो उसमें हम लोग कंपेयर करेंगे, एंड फिर कैटेगरी वाइज व्हाट वाज द रैंकिंग एंड इंक्रीजिंग ऑर्डर. मतलब वी हैव टू फिगर आउट लोवेस्ट टू हाईएस्ट और लीस्ट टू मोस्ट. ठीक है. दैट इज बेसिकली द ऑर्डर इन विच यू हैव टू फिगर. So let's try to look at it in this case. So I'll try to erase everything, or I'll not erase everything because I'll need to write the categories again. ये सब को हटा देते हैं so that we know what we need to do. एक काम करते हैं, we'll remove everything in fact, and then we'll write this one again. That will make our life slightly easier. So ये चार जो है वो फर्नीचर है. फर्नीचर राइट. फर्नीचर. बाइंडर से लेके सप्लाईज आई थिंक या these were office supplies. एंड ये लास्ट वाला पार्ट जो है those were टेक्नोलॉजी. ठीक है. सो इसमें से हाईएस्ट ग्रोथ वाला कौन है वो अपने को ढूंढ के निकालना है. सो फर्नीचर के अंदर इफ यू लुक एट इट, ये वाले केस के अंदर, सो दिस हैज गॉन फ्रॉम 2 टू लेस देन 2.5. अगर 2 से लेके 2.5 तक भी जाता तो इट वुड हैव बीन 25%, बट दिस विल बी लेस देन 25% फॉर श्योर. फाइन. अब ये फर्निशिंग को तो लेके फायदा ही नहीं है बिकॉज ये तो ग्रो ही नहीं किया बिल्कुल भी. वेरी बेयरली, वेरी लेस ग्रोथ इट हैज शोन. इवन टेबल्स हैज शोन वेरी लेस ग्रोथ. सो फर्निशिंग्स एंड टेबल्स को अपन पूरा उड़ा सकते हैं, कोई जरूरत नहीं देखने. Now if you look at chairs, so I need to just compare bookcases and chairs. अब bookcases के अंदर if you look at it, अगर मैं यहाँ पे let's say for example I would have been here and I am slightly less than 2, so 1.9 से लेके we had seen this earlier, we have gone to 2.2 let's say. और ये वाले केस के अंदर we have gone from 6.1 से लेके more or less 7 तक चले गए. ठीक है. सो 1.9 से 2.2 मतलब आई हैव गॉन अहेड बाय 3 ऑन अ बेस ऑफ 19. सो 3 बाय 19 इंटू 100 कुछ होगा यहाँ पे परसेंटेज चेंज, और यहाँ पे परसेंटेज चेंज होगा 9 बाय 61. अब 9 बाय 61 विल बी 15% मोर और लेस, राइट? बिकॉज 61 का 10% इज 6, 5% शुड बी 5, सो 3 सॉरी. तो यहाँ पे टोटल 9 होना चाहिए तो 15% होगा. एंड 3 बाय 19 अगर मैं करता हूं, आई एम गोइंग टू गेट 19 1 जा 19 110. सो 19 5 जा 95, 19 6 आर, सो अप्रोक्सीमेटली 15 to 16% है. अब देर आर टू लेवल्स एट विच आई विल लुक एट इट. अगर बहुत ज्यादा टाई ब्रेकर हो रहा है देन आई विल नीड टू बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक. बट इफ आई नो दैट फर्नीचर इज 15 to 16%, ऑफिस सप्लाईज इज लेट्स से 10%, एंड टेक इज लेट्स से 50%, तो मुझे पता है दैट फर्नीचर दोनों के बीच में आएगा. दैट मच आई नो. I don't need to find the exact numbers. I just need to arrange them in an ascending order. So in my case, what I'm saying is furniture 15 to 16% should be the maximum change in terms of any subcategory. अभी ऑफिस सप्लाईज अगर देखते हैं, सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ ऑफिस सप्लाईज इफ यू लुक एट इट, बाइंडर्स जो थे ना, दे हैव ग्रोन बाय सम अमाउंट. लेट्स ट्राई टू रिमूव द आउटलायर्स फॉर श्योर. यहाँ पे तो डीग्रोथ है. यहाँ पे इफ यू लुक एट इट, इट हैज ग्रोन बाय आई डोंट नो, आई मीन बोथ द 19 and 20 numbers. 19 basically looks half of 20, right, in this case. So this should ideally be, I don't know, looks like 100% in this case. मतलब 0.05 का 0.1 हो गया होगा because it's bang in the center. यहाँ पे if you look at it, it is slightly towards the right, which means that 2020 has not gone far ahead of 2019. ये वाले केस में भी अगर देखेंगे तो यहाँ पे 3:1 का पार्ट है. सो दिस लुक्स टू बी द मैक्सिमम. तो इसको निकाल देंगे, इसको भी निकाल देंगे. विल नॉट इवन लुक एट दिस. ये भी मतलब इट इज टिल्टेड टू मच टू द राइट. यहाँ पे भी इट इज टू मच टू द राइट दैट वी हैव. इन दिस केस इफ यू लुक एट इट, यहाँ पे भी यू हैव 1 2 3 3.5 blocks, एंड यहाँ पे यू हैव ओनली 2.5 blocks. So I'll probably not go for this one. And यहाँ पे if you look at it, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 blocks and only 3 blocks to the right. So ये 7:3 का कुछ रेशियो मेरे को दिख रहा है. यहाँ पे आई एम लुकिंग एट इट इन टर्म्स ऑफ 1:0.25 इश, तो बहुत ही कम ग्रोथ है यहाँ पे. Here, if I'm looking at it, 1, 2, 3, 3.5, almost 4 blocks to 2.5 blocks, 3.5 is to 2.5. So I'm looking at 7:5 का ratio in this case. यहाँ पे तो definitely absolutely degrowth है. This I think is fairly close. I can see that dash 2019 का number in the middle of this particular thing. ठीक है. So यहाँ पे I might want to take a guess and say that यहाँ पे मतलब I can see something doubling more or less. So I will say that this is approximately 100%. Let's try to see, right? If tech is significantly lower or something. One thing is absolutely certain that 15-16 से तो ज्यादा ही बड़ा है ना. It is not like barely there is something that has happened. It has gone way beyond where it should have been. टेक में अगर देखते हैं, अगेन इफ यू लुक एट दिस, यू हैव 1 2 3 4 5 6 एंड 3. सो दिस इज 6:3 और 2:1. यहाँ पे यू हैव 1 2 3 4 5 6 7:2. So this is not too much of growth that we have. So 2020 is mostly same, but 2019 is way higher. तो इसका ग्रोथ बहुत ज्यादा नहीं. ये तो degrowth है. 2019 is here, 2020 is here. And in this case, if you look at it, you have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 11.5. And उससे ग्रोथ कितना है? 1 2 3 and 3.5. So 11.5 is to 3.5 और 23 is to 7. That is the growth. So what do I mean when I say this? 23 is to 7 का मतलब क्या बना? I am saying that there is a growth of 7 on a base of 23. ठीक है. That is what I am trying to say. 7:2 का मतलब क्या बना? There is a growth of 2 on a base of 7. 2:1 का मतलब क्या हो गया? There is a growth of 1 on a base of 2. ठीक है. So in this case, if you look at this, then you can maybe make an assumption and try to see what happens. अगर बहुत ही ज्यादा close लग रहा है तो maybe you can take a guess and you can say that okay, might not work, but let's try to see what happens here. ठीक है. So furniture is 15 to 16%, office supplies 100% है. यहाँ पे if you look at it, this seems to be the best ratio. Growth of 1 on a base of 2, so 50% growth हुआ है. बाकी दोनों 50% नहीं है. So tech is at 50% approximately is what we can say. So lowest to highest अगर जाना है तो furniture will be the lowest, उसके बाद tech होगा, उसके बाद office supplies होगा. So FTO should be the lowest to highest. Now mind you, office supplies के अंदर 100% is something that I can just see observation से. That's why I have gone for it. थोड़ा 19-20 हो सकता है, but then again, if you are solving it quickly and you know that you are going to get maybe 9 or 12 marks in this set, 9 marks भी अगर मिल रहे हैं, एक क्वेश्चन गलत भी हो गया तो भी 8 marks if you are getting, and if you are spending even 10 minutes on this set, I think it's a good enough return on investment. ठीक है. So in that context, I think this makes sense. So FTO should be the order. Furniture should be the lowest. Yeah, furniture is definitely the lowest ना, तो ये ऑप्शन ही बचा अपने पास, क्योंकि ऑफिस सप्लाई या टेक्नोलॉजी लोएस्ट हो ही नहीं सकता. So furniture has to be the lowest. So furniture, tech and office supply should be the order that we have, lowest to highest. Fine. So option D should be the correct. Okay. Now we have another set. This is a very interesting set. I like this set. So let's look at that one. उसके पहले Harsh, I'm currently not able to increase my attempts in mocks. Recently I gave CL mock in attempted 7 and got 5 correct. Analyzing time spent on question, I discovered that I wasted around 20 minutes in incorrect or unattempted questions. Yeah. Fairly easy set, but cannot see these type of sets in mocks. Yeah, Harsh तो मतलब mocks में नहीं होगा ना. Mocks के अंदर the point is that you have to create a differentiator, right? And ये भी अगर देखेंगे ना, this was CAT 2020, I believe. CAT 2020 के अंदर, if you look at the DI section, there were 24 questions in total. And if I remember correctly, there were 2 sets of 6 questions each and 3 sets of 4 questions each. So 5 sets थे. 5 sets had to be solved in 40 minutes. तो वो 40 minutes के अंदर एक set was the previous one. उसके अंदर भी I am sure that because there was so much of calculation involved, a lot of people might not have done it properly. So that could be a reason why it appeared at the CAT, but still people might not have been able to express themselves as well as they would have liked. Right? So easy sets हर टेस्ट के अंदर मिलेंगे. CAT में every year you will get at least one easy set. They have to do it because otherwise they will not be able to differentiate between the best candidates, the average candidates, and the not so good candidates. ठीक है. और वो that is the point of the CAT, right? Point of the CAT is not to challenge you कि अरे तुमको ज्यादा पता है कि पेपर सेटर को ज्यादा पता है, देखते हैं करके. That is not the point of the CAT. The point of the CAT is to differentiate the aspirants who have good aptitude or who have prepared for the test in a way, because preparation tells them that you are serious about your career, serious about the CAT and so on, and compare you with someone who might not have put in their best efforts or who might not really be good in terms of having aptitude, right? तो वो डिफरेंशिएटर होता है जनरली. एंड फॉर दैट यू नीड टू हैव इजी क्वेश्चंस, मॉडरेट क्वेश्चंस एंड डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चंस. तो हर साल कैट के अंदर वन इजी सेट यू विल डेफिनेटली बी एबल टू सी. So don't worry about that. The second thing, in terms of your attempt strategy, again, I have made some videos in terms of how to attempt questions quickly. And there was one live session that I had done, which was called a selection question selection masterclass. Right? तो वो एक बार देख लेना. उसके अंदर I have discussed it in detail, and I have also given some templates जहाँ पे we rated questions on some parameters, and then we compared कि what do you think versus what do I think, and what was the reason why I judge the question as a difficult question or a moderate question or an easy question. तो वो ही देख लेना. One. The second thing is you need to be extremely quick in terms of deciding when you want to leave a set. तो सिर्फ क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व किया और सेट बना दिया, that does not translate into anything, right? You have to ensure that you are solving a set or you are solving a question because you know that you are going to get the answer. Abhi, if you are started to solve a set, right, and 30 seconds, 45 seconds तक you are not able to understand anything in this set, कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि क्या करना है, right? In that case, you leave that set at that point in time. बिल्कुल उस पर टाइम स्पेंड मत कर. You might want to spend time with the hope that okay, I have already spent 5 minutes on the set. अगर 2 मिनट और डाल दूंगा तो I might be able to answer that question, right? So ये बहुत लोग सोचते हैं, and then basically it leads to disastrous consequences. तो जो sunk cost fallacy होता है, just because you have spent some time, just because you have spent some money, because you have spent some effort doing something, does not mean that putting in more effort is going to result in vindication. It might happen, it might not happen. बट आई विल नेवर टेक दैट काइंड ऑफ अ रिस्क. ठीक है, अगर क्वेश्चन समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, लेट गो ऑफ दैट क्वेश्चन देन एंड देयर. डोंट वेस्ट अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम सॉल्विंग क्वेश्चंस. तो वहां पे इफ यू लुक एट द लाइव मॉक सॉल्विंग अटेम्प्ट्स दैट आई डू, वहां पे यू विल सी दैट इन अ लॉट ऑफ सिचुएशंस आई माइट नॉट solve a particular question at all. मतलब I'll just see, I'll थोड़ा सा potter around 50 seconds, 1 minute, I'll maybe see. अगर कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है, let go of that question and maybe come back to it later अगर time बचता है तो. Right? So that is basically the idea. If you are not able to impose that kind of discipline on yourself, always try to think about questions in multiples of 3, let's say. I'm assuming ये quant में बहुत ज्यादा होता है, right? So quant के अंदर if you think about it, look at question 1, 2, 3. That's it. Fourth question लिखना ही नहीं है. Out of the first 3 questions, see which one do you think is the easiest and can be done within a minute and a half. ठीक है, minute and a half, 2 minutes के अंदर वो question solve हो जाना चाहिए. Now let's say that is question number 2. Question number 2 को you tried it out for 1.5, 2 minutes. If you are able to solve, great. Go to questions 4, 5, 6. 1 और 3 देखने का कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Go to questions 4, 5, 6 and see which is the easiest question there. अगर नहीं मिलता easiest question, great. 7, 8, 9 पे चलेगा. And that is basically how you'll go through the first round. Okay, that is one thing. The second thing is, let's say for example you started a question and you are not able to do it even after 1.5 minutes. Again, let go of that question, then and there go to 4, 5, 6. So utna, if you are able to do it fluidly, I think your attempts will increase organically, and that is the whole point of it. You should not waste time on questions that you did not solve or got incorrectly. So that is a good identification that you have. But that is basically the idea of how you should go. Okay, so I hope that helps. I'll go ahead with the second set. Now the second set is also very interesting. This is a very basic set, LR kind of a set, जहाँ पे you have 7 people who are there, and there are pairs that are formed. ठीक है. So A, B, C, Amuda, Bharatan, Chandran, Dinesh, Eril. That's how you pronounce it, by the way. So it's not cozy code, it's koi code, right? So Eril is how you pronounce, and Funny and Gautam are 7 people in a town. Any pair of them could either be strangers, acquaintances, or friends. All relationships are mutual, right? So if Amuda is a friend of Bharatan, A and B are friends, or if A is a friend of B, then B is also a friend of A. So mutual relationships exist करते हैं. Similarly, if Amuda is a stranger to Bharatan, अगर Amuda and Bharatan are strangers, then Bharatan is also a stranger to Amuda, right? So as a one-sided friendship नहीं होगा. If they know each other or if they are friends, they are friends. If they are acquaintances, both of them are acquaintances of each other. And if they are strangers to the other person, then the other person will also be a stranger to them. Okay? Now, partial information about the number of friends, acquaintances, and strangers has been given, and there are some points that have been given. So once we figure out these facts, I think our life becomes slightly easier. What I will do is I'll try to put this table on this slide quickly so that we are able to solve everything on this slide itself. Okay, so I hope the table is now visible. Fine, so this is what it looks like. Let's start. Now Amuda, Bharatan and Chandran are mutual strangers. मतलब Amuda, Bharatan and Chandran strangers हैं. So we know that Amuda will have strangers के category में definitely Bharatan will be a stranger to Amuda, and see, Chandran will be a stranger to Amuda. Now, as soon as we know this, Amuda is strangers with Bharatan. We know that Bharatan is also a stranger to Amuda. So Bharatan के लिए भी Amuda एक stranger है. Fine. Also, we know that Bharatan and Chandran are mutual strangers. So this will also be Chandran. और यहाँ पे अगर देखेंगे चंद्रन विल बी अ म्यूचुअल स्ट्रेंजर टू अमुदा एंड भरतन, और चंद्रन के स्ट्रेंजर्स वाले कैटेगरी के अंदर ए एंड बी बोथ विल बी प्रेजेंट. ठीक है. सो दिस इज बेसिकली द रेजोल्यूशन ऑफ द फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट. The second statement says A, D and F are L's friends. So A, D, F are L's friends. So L के friends के अंदर I will definitely have A, I will have D and I will have F, which basically means if A and E are friends, then E should feature here. If D and E are friends, then E should feature here. If F and E are friends, E should feature here. Now we can see that funny का एक ही friend है and that friend has to be E. So this part has been resolved. Fine. Also, this part is taken care of. ADF is taken care of. Third one, Chandran and Gautam are friends. So Chandran के friend list में Gautam will be there. Similarly, Gautam के friend list में Chandran will be there. So this is also taken care of. Every friend of Amuda is an acquaintance of Bharatan. So Amuda का जो friend है ना, that should be an acquaintance of Bharatan. So अगर यहाँ पे E है, so Bharatan के acquaintance में definitely E will come. And every acquaintance of Bharatan is a friend of Amuda. So what does this mean? We know that Amuda का एक ही friend है. And how did we arrive at this conclusion? We know that Amuda will be related to 6 people because there are 7 people in total. Amuda can't be related to herself. Amuda has to be related to the remaining 6 people. अब उसमें से 4 तो strangers हैं, 1 acquaintances हैं. So 1 has to be friends. Right? So अगर 1 friend है, that friend is E, we know. So we know that every friend of Amuda is an acquaintance of Bharatan. एंड एवरी अक्वेंटेंस ऑफ भरतन इज अ फ्रेंड ऑफ अमुदा. अब भरतन का एक से ज्यादा फ्रेंड तो नहीं हो सकता, राइट? बिकॉज इफ देयर आर टू अक्वेंटेंसेस हियर फॉर भरतन, देन अमुदा आल्सो हैज टू फ्रेंड्स, बट दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल बिकॉज अमुदा इज एग्जैक्टली वन फ्रेंड. सो अपने को ये पता चलता है दैट भरतन आल्सो हैज एग्जैक्टली वन अक्वेंटेंस. ठीक है, दैट इज व्हाट वी अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम दिस, एंड ये रिजॉल्व हो गया. एवरी फ्रेंड ऑफ भरतन, ये वाला, इज एन अक्वेंटेंस ऑफ अमुदा, and every acquaintance of Amudha is a friend of Bharatan. So exactly same logic hai. So if there was one acquaintance here, this one acquaintance will be one of the friends or one friend that Bharatan has. Now we can see that Bharatan has exactly one friend because Amudha has exactly one acquaintance. Bharatan has exactly one acquaintance because Amuda has exactly one friend. तो यहाँ पे number of strangers के अंदर Bharatan should have 4 strangers are there. ठीक है? So that is what we will know from this context, right? So we will know what exactly happens here, right? So I hope this part is clear and we should be fine. Now let's try to see if we are able to make 6 somewhere else. So यहाँ पे we have 2, but we don't know if this is 2. This is 1. This is 1. We can't do anything. 1-2, we don't know. 3-1, we don't know. 1-, we don't know. Here we can see 3, 2, and this has to be 1, right? This has to be 1 because Gautam will also have 6 relationships, ना? तो गौतम के अगर 6 relationships हैं, if 3 are acquaintances, 2 are strangers, the remaining one has to be a friend, and that has to be C. Fine. So I hope everything has been placed symmetrically. So A, D, F अगर यहाँ पे है तो A, D, F के सामने E होना चाहिए. That we have done. C के सामने G है, G के सामने C है. That part is fine. Acquaintances यहाँ पे E है तो ये friend के साथ वहां पे pair हो रहा था. This we don't know, but we will try to figure it out a bit later. Strangers में we know that VC, AC and AB are strangers. बाकी कोई stranger अपने को मिला नहीं है अभी तक. ठीक है? So let's try to see what we get here. Now this is where the first bottleneck comes into the picture. क्या भी करेंगे क्या? Because we have used all the things that we had here, सारे points use कर लिए हैं. Now we have to look for some logic somewhere, and because this is a table जहाँ पे you have to fill blank spaces, this is basically Sudoku logic. अब Sudoku logic में हम क्या करेंगे? We'll try to identify the blanks जहाँ पे हम कुछ put कर सकते हैं. तो अब यहाँ पे if you look at the column जो सबसे ज्यादा fill किया हमने, friends में बहुत ज्यादा चीजें fill की है ना. Acquaintances में we have just filled one. Strangers में we have only filled a mutual relationship that exists. But friends के अंदर I have the friend list for almost everyone. So हम लोग यहाँ पे कर क्या सकते हैं? Let's try to see what happens. अमुदा के सामने एक ही फ्रेंड है E, that much we know, right? भारतन के सामने one friend should be there, we don't know who is that friend. चंद्रन के सामने एक फ्रेंड है, दिनेश के सामने एक है, एरिल के सामने 3 है, फनी के सामने 1 है, गौतम के सामने C है. Now the only place where I don't know, और ये 1 भी this is completely done. ठीक है? The only place where I don't know anyone is भारतन के friend list में. So let's try to see who can come. अब एक ही फ्रेंड चाहिए भरतन को. Now that friend can't be A because A तो stranger वाली लिस्ट में है भरतन के नाम के सामने. B can't be their own friend. C cannot be a friend of B because C is in the stranger list. So A, B, C हो गया. Can D be a friend of Bharatan? Right? D friend हो सकता है क्या भरतन का? That is the question. Fine. So let's try to see. तो D यहाँ पे एक क्वेश्चन मार्क डाल के रख देते हैं. D could be a friend of Bharatan. Can E be a friend of Bharatan? Not possible because E is an acquaintance. तो acquaintance और friend दोनों नहीं हो सकता. Can F be a friend of Bharatan? F के context में if you look at it, F का एक ही friend है that has been given to us and we know that that friend is E. तो F cannot be a friend of Bharatan because F के सामने अगर B लिख दिया तो F के friend list में दो लोग आ जाएंगे but F के friends का number तो 1 ही है. So F cannot be friends with B. G. Can G be friends with B? Not really. Because according to this information, because G had 3 acquaintances and 2 strangers, G का एक ही friend होना चाहिए. And we have figured out that that friend is C. So G cannot have B as another friend. So B के पास कोई option ही नहीं है friendship के लिए. B has only one option which is D. So B has to be friends with D, meaning that D has to be friends with B. अभी यहाँ पे ये वाला लाइन पूरा बन गया. D, E and आगे वाला मिल जाएगा. We also know that भारतन के जो फ्रेंड्स है ना वो ही अमुदा के acquaintances हैं. So we will know that the one acquaintance that Amuda has that has to be D. Now again think about Sudoku logic. अभी यहाँ पे ये bottleneck अगर निकल जाता है ना your set will mostly collapse आगे जाके धीरे धीरे. अभी यहाँ पे think about it. Amuda has relationships with 6 people. D, E, B और C हमने अकाउंट कर लिया है, right? And E and D are done here. तो यहाँ पे बचे दो लोग. तो दो कौन होंगे? A cannot be friends, acquaintances or strangers with themselves, with herself. तो वो नहीं हो सकता. B, C, D, E हो गया है, right? So F और G ही बचा. So F और G will have to be here because they cannot be friends or acquaintances. तो ये बन गया. Similarly, if you look at it here, Bharatan has established a relationship with A, C, D, E और फिर से F, G बचा. So F, G should be here. So F is basically strangers to A and B. तो F के stranger के लिस्ट में ना A और B दोनों आएंगे and G के stranger वाली लिस्ट में भी A और B दोनों आएंगे. We can also observe here that because now this is collapsing, these two are A and B. So ये दो A B है, ये C है. These three have to be D, E and F. ठीक है? Because G के साथ relationship establish करना है. Hi Ravi. ठीक है. Akansh, I'll reply to your question once we are done with this set. ठीक है? So D, E, F हो गया. So this is what we are done with in terms of Gautam. Now we got another information here. Gautam has D, E, F as acquaintances. So D, E and F के पास सारे लोगों के पास G definitely एक acquaintance होगा. So that we have taken care of. Fine. So this is basically what we are looking at in this case. Also we had put acquaintances यहाँ पे D. So A is an acquaintance of D. So D will have A as an acquaintance. E is an acquaintance of B. It means that E will have B as an acquaintance. तो ये यहाँ पे बन गया. Right? So this is basically how you will look at this particular set. Fine. So this is what it looks like. Now if you think about it, यहाँ पे अगर Ariel देखेंगे, Ariel already has 3 people here, 2 people here and 1 person that is supposed to be put here. So this has to be 3 to 1 ना. इसमें extra कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता because 6 people have to have a relationship with Ariel. Now A is done, B is done, D is done, E is not possible, F is done, G is done. So बचा क्या मेरे पास? C ही बचा. So this one person has to be C, which means that C would be a stranger to Ariel. So यहाँ पे ये 3 आ जाएगा. ठीक है. So this is basically how things work here. Also if you look at this one, दिनेश को अगर देखेंगे अभी, so 2 people are already established here, 2 are here, 2 are here. So ये तो दो दो ही होने चाहिए. This will basically be the complete set of people that Dinesh would be friends and acquaintances with. Now A, B are done, C is left, D is Dinesh himself, E is done, F is left. तो C और F बचे. So C and F have to be here. So basically C and D will be strangers. तो C के strangers की लिस्ट में D आ जाएगा and F and D are strangers. तो F के strangers की लिस्ट में भी D आ जाएगा. Now if you look at what is happening with Chandran, Chandran has 4 strangers, 1 acquaintance and 1 friend. जो हमने लिखा हुआ है यहाँ पे. So this has to be the only friend that Chandran has. This has to be the only acquaintance that Chandran has. These are 4 strangers to Chandran. अभी क्या बचा? A, B, C is Chandran himself. D, E, F नहीं हुआ तो F has to be here. So F and C are acquaintances. तो F के acquaintances की लिस्ट में C आ जाएगा. And now if you look at it, F के सामने there are three strangers, two acquaintances and one friend. So you will again have 3, 2, 1. Fine. So once you get over the B and D wala combination, वो एक बार निकल जाता है ना, your entire set will collapse or fall into place nicely. That is the bottleneck. So हमेशा try to see what all bottlenecks do you come across when it comes to LRDI sets. तो ये set से मेरे को क्या मिला? Right. This is an easy set. You can manage it. I'm pretty sure many of you would have managed this. But what did I learn from this set? I learned that whenever I have used all the information in this set and I get stuck, I have to look for maybe that column जहाँ पे most of the information is there, but maybe one or two blanks are there, and then I will have to see what all cases are possible. Possibilities देखने पड़ेंगे. So column और row का intersection मेरे को ऐसा देखना पड़ेगा जहाँ पे I can eliminate a lot of possibilities. That is pure pseudocode. वो अगर करेंगे तो you will be done with this very quickly. Now we are done. We're done with this. 1, 1, 4, 1, 1, 4 again, 1, 1, 4 again, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 3, 2. तो ये सारे के सारे बन गए हैं. We have put names also in front of the numbers, so we are done with the entire thing. Let's try to see what do we get regarding the questions. Who are Gautam's acquaintances? तो गौतम के acquaintances कौन कौन है? D, E, F are there. ठीक है. So D, E, F are there. So A, B, F, D, E, F. Yeah. Option B should be the answer. Dinesh, Eril, and Funny. So there are these three people who are Gautam's acquaintances. Second में, which of these pairs share the same type of relationship? B, C, and D, E. So B, C, and D अपने को सिर्फ इसमें देखना है. So B and C are strangers in this one, and D and E are friends. So first option is definitely not the same kind of relationship. C, E, and D, G. C, E, and D, G अगर देखेंगे तो C and E are strangers, and D and G are acquaintances. C, E, and D, G not possible. Strangers and acquaintances. A, G, and E, F. So A and G are strangers, and E and F are friends. So this will not work. So of course, it's always the last place where you look. B, E, and F, G. So let's see. B, E, and F, G. B, E are acquaintances, and F, G are of course acquaintances. So the correct answer is option D here. B, E, and F, G. Let's look at the third question. Who is an acquaintance of Amuda? A का acquaintance कौन है? Let's see. So A का acquaintance is D. So Dinesh should be the answer here. So option A is the right answer. It should be Dinesh. Fine. Who is an acquaintance of Chandran? So Chandran का acquaintance कौन है? Chandran का acquaintance is F. So Funny should be the acquaintance of Chandran. So option C should be the answer. Next question देखते हैं. How many friends does Eril have? So Eril has 3 friends, A, D, and F, according to this table that we have drawn. So the answer to this one should be 3. And the last question, how many people are either a friend or a friend of Eril? So Eril के direct friends या जो first degree friends जो बोलते हैं. So Eril के direct friends are A, D, F. So A, D, F are direct friends of Eril. A का friend is E, तो E is not to be considered. D के friend list में E है और B है. So by association, B will also be you can say that B will be a friend of Eril. And F के केस में सिर्फ एक ही friend है E. So friends are A, D, F, and friend of a friend के list में सिर्फ B आता है. So there are 4 people who are either a friend or a friend of Eril. Okay, so that was the last question of the second set. I see that there are some questions that some of you have put, so I'll just try to answer those and then we will close the session. Okay, so Harsh, I have answered your question. Akansh, scoring 25 out of 30 both in quant and LRD and sectional and mocks, or 25 to 30, right? But not able to score in VRC after a lot of practice. Strong area or give max time to VRC. Akansh, you have to see there are 2 things here. One is if you have a good profile, you are trying for the IIMs and top colleges जहाँ पे sectional cutoffs होते हैं, at least try to go beyond the 90th percentile in VRC. There are 2 reasons. One, of course, you should get a call. अगर sectional cutoff ही clear नहीं होगा तो call नहीं आएगा. And 2, if you get an easy VRC section, अगर एक easy VRC section आता है and you are going to the test with the prejudice that you have to score heavily in quant and DILR, and last जैसा अगर quant difficult आ जाता है ना, then VA will be your saving grace. तो लास्ट ईयर पीपल हु स्कोर्ड हेवीली ओवरऑल वुड हैव बीन द वंस जिन्होंने वीएआरसी के अंदर बहुत अच्छा स्कोर किया होगा, राइट? एंड इफ यू wanted to muscle through last year ka paper even without using VRC, it would have been difficult job for you. In fact, if I remember correctly, my highest sectional score was in VRC last year. ठीक है, so that is basically what might happen. तो इसके लिए VRC को lightly मत लेना. Understand what needs to be done. That is the first thing. Second thing is, of course, you want to clear your sectional cutoff. The other side of the story is if you are targeting colleges like, say, maybe an MDI, it's just a vague example. Let's say an MDI or an IMT or an XIMB or something in the 85s or 90 percentile, right? वो कॉलेज अगर टारगेट कर रहे हो, then try to maximize your overall score. So then maybe you can take verbal slightly lightly. I would not recommend it still, but वो situation में maybe you can take it slightly lightly. Otherwise, I would strongly suggest कि verbal पे अगर marks कम आ रहे हैं, give disproportionate amount of time on VARC and try to improve it. अब वो improve कैसे होगा? You sitting and reading and just talking to the screen or learning from it is not going to help you at all. You have to take some external help. अब वो external help can be from your mentors, from your friends, from जो भी video sessions कुछ भी हो सकता है. But you will need some perspective कि how do people arrive at a particular answer. तो वो अगर back and forth if you manage well, then I think you should be fine. जब तक वो नहीं होगा ना, till the time you don't crack that part, you will always be stuck with your instincts and वो whatever you do, right? It's not an easy thing to improve or change, right? It's difficult to change your perspectives. It's difficult to change your instincts. So जितना भी मर्जी you do it in practice ना, exam के time पे you will revert to your basal instincts and that is going to be a problem क्योंकि हम लोग फिर से अपने वो primitive brain पे चले जाते हैं and we do everything in case of panic. In case you are not able to solve the first RC, let's say, you will revert to your earlier instincts and फिर से वही होगा जो हो रहा है. So the whole idea is for you to build perspectives, to build your instincts in a way that you can react even in for emergency situations. You can react accordingly. So uske liye you will need to discuss your answers with a lot of people. Understand why you are marking something. Understand why you should not have thought of it in a certain way. Understand how can you maybe think at a deeper level or not think utna andar घुस के. So all those things you will understand once you discuss your questions with a lot of people. So that is basically what I would suggest. And मतलब focus on VRC. Don't let go of VRC. Last year जैसा आएगा ना तो you might end up losing out on easy marks. So last year even if you are a decentish candidate, 35-40 marks मिल सकते थे VRC के अंदर. So that would have given you मतलब 50% of your score would have come from there, right? तो इतना पोटेंशियल था VRC में लास्ट ईयर का. एंड अगर वही 3 मार्क मेरे को क्वांट में निकालना है, आई हैड टू पुट इन सुपर ह्यूमन एफर्ट टू गेट दोस 3 मार्क्स इन क्वांट. जबकि मेरे को VRC में फ्री में 3 मार्क, फ्री नहीं बट बहुत मिनिमल एफर्ट का 3 मार्क्स मिल रहे. सो दैट इज बेसिकली हाउ थिंग्स चेंज. ठीक है. एंड रवि, कैट 25 6 months since I have started preparing, notice that my LR not good, other 2 sections are good. What are things that I need to do to score good in LRDI? Ravi, I would suggest that see there is a lot of time left for CAT 2025. So one general piece of advice is that don't burn yourself out. Because I know that CAT preparation seems very interesting. Puzzles करने हैं, you have to solve math questions, you have to solve verbal questions. These seem much easier than whatever you are doing in your graduation purely because these are things that you stop doing after 10th standard, right? So there's always that nostalgia wala factor attached to it. You will feel very pumped up about doing these things. But focus on your college exams because your college exams will not happen every year. CAT happens every year. So that is the first piece of advice. So don't burn yourself out. Don't overextend yourself, right? The second thing is purely in terms of DILR. What I would suggest is try to solve as many different puzzle types as you can. So I will tell you maybe some puzzle types that I generally recommend. So I'm sure that you know Sudoku. You might be knowing this puzzle type called Kakuro. You might be knowing this puzzle type called Hitori, Hidato. There is this thing called Kakurasu. Then there is this thing called Bulls and Cows, Towers of Hanoi. If you have done Wordles in the past, so that Minesweeper. ये सारी चीजें मतलब there are a lot of puzzle types that exist. So make sure that you are solving these puzzle types. I'm not saying that become amazing at it, but at least try to solve these puzzle types. Okay. So Minesweeper, then Nonogrids, Skyscrapers, Loop, Futoshiki, बहुत सारे puzzle types है. मतलब you just sit and search chess. I have not mentioned it, but ये सारे मतलब puzzle types. So try to solve as many puzzle types as you can. Sudoku ke andar there are a lot of variants that are there. So try to solve these puzzle types. Try to get better at a lot of these puzzle types. Once you are getting better at these, you will see yourself coming or getting into situations jहाँ पे one of these logic you will be able to apply. So that is one thing that I would suggest to strengthen your basics. There is this website, if you want, you can just try it out, brainbashers.com. Again, not a sponsor or anything. It is a website that I personally like. That's why I recommend. So brainbashers.com एक बार देख लो. That might help you think in a logical manner, right? So that is one thing. Otherwise, whatever material you're using, it is good enough for sets and for you to understand how to solve questions. Next year, maybe when you start taking mocks, you will learn a lot more. And once you solve past year CAT papers, again, you will learn a lot. So those are the resources that you will go to. Fine. Jagrit, yes, we will be doing a CrackU mock. In fact, I have received a lot of requests for CrackU Dash Cat 10, I believe. So it was apparently a super tough mock. So though that is the request that I have received. So if I am able to find a login जहाँ पे someone has not taken a Dash Cat 10 or does not intend to take a Dash Cat 10, I will be more than happy to solve that. So let's see if something like that works. ठीक है? Pooja, DILR drill and sets of mocks. That is good enough, Pooja. And if you are not able to solve more than one set, na, try to get that one set correct. 15 marks to 15 marks. Get that thing in your pocket. Always focus on getting the bare minimum. उसके ऊपर यू कैन ऑलवेज बिल्ड ऑन थिंग्स. तो उसके बाद दो टीटा क्वेश्चन कर लिया, एक आधा मॉक अगर और एक आधा सेट अगर इजी आएगा तो वो कर लिया. सो यू कैन थिंक अबाउट इट लाइक दैट, बट ट्राई टू नेल दैट वन सेट फॉर श्योर. एंड उसके लिए डेली ड्रिल इज बेसिकली पास्ट कैट क्वेश्चन, सो दैट विल हेल्प. And your mocks should have a lot of good sets. So do that. Okay. Shivansh, okay. 90 to 100, I think is decent in other. I did that live mock solving. I think I got some 88 in that mock, and I think it was worth a 99.3 percentile with commentary, of course. So I think 90 to 100 is a decent enough attempt from what I can understand. And the 35 to 40 से 50 जाना है तो you have to do just one thing, right? You have to be ultra aggressive in a mock. Worst case क्या होगा ना, you will fall to 20-25. You will not fall below that. So if you want to break the resistance, it has to break with volumes. Again, I keep on giving some, I don't know, trading parallels. But if you want to break that resistance, you will have to have a superhuman effort. Everyone should invest, right? Some fantastic result should come out. कुछ तो होना चाहिए, मतलब there should be some reason for it to break out. And once it breaks out, then definitely go. But you have to do it with intent. Matlab. Maybe 2 or 3 mocks consistently if you start crossing 50. Now, once you understand how to cross 50, you are fine. Technically, if you are looking at how to cross 50, you have to cut short on the time that you are spending on unattempted / incorrect answers. If you're already attempting maybe 17 or 18 questions, your focus should be on getting everything right. So if that is happening, then of course everything is right will translate into a 50 plus score and so on. So these kind of things can happen, but हाँ मतलब everything has to work in your favor. Last day का क्वांट का टेस्ट देखेंगे तो 50 शायद I would not have been able to promise you 50, मतलब being somewhat of a quant connoisseur myself, I would not have been able to promise you a 50. तो वो context में नहीं हो सकता, mostly नहीं हो सकता, sorry. But otherwise, yeah, if you think that you had attempted 18, 19, 17 questions, understand why you didn't get everything right. Next time, whenever you come across these kind of scenarios, ensure that you're not making that mistake that you did previously. And the other way is you go all out, right? Go with the intent of attempting 22 or 24 questions, which section you're talking about, whichever section you're talking about, and try to hit it. मतलब कितना you have what 22 months left, 60 days left. You will probably have 20-25 chances to do this. 20-25 chances people are ultra aggressive. There will be one day जहाँ पे you will hit 50, and that is the day that will change things for you, right? So till the time thing that you realize your potential, I think it will be slightly मतलब वो mental block ही है in a way. If you are able to solve 16, 17 questions on your own after the test, there is no reason why you should not be able to do it during the test. So it's mostly a mental thing more than anything else. ठीक है? चलो. So ठीक है. So on that note, I think we'll close the session today. Last 10 minutes have been more or less Q&A. So I hope that was useful to all those of you who were not asking questions. So let me know in case there is something else in the comment section. I try to reply to it. Some comments I miss, but I don't really miss. I will reply to the comments that are pending from the last 2 or 3 days. I have been doing something else alongside as well. So yeah, I'll try to reply to it by maybe tomorrow. And yeah, I'll see you again tomorrow with another daily drill. And till then, take care, everyone. Stay safe. And yeah, I'll see all of you again tomorrow at 8 p.m. with another daily drill. All right. Sure.